A very good morning to you all, class 8th. This is your social studies class, and from today onwards, I will take two lesson plans together. Today, I am going to start block 15, the making of the national movement, part 2. So, you need to do a little extra effort to complete the blocks which are remaining. I hope you will work little harder so that we can complete it on time. After that, we need to do the revision and then we will go for the test. So please cooperate with me and study hard so that we can complete all the blocks. Now today I am going to take lesson plan 1 and 2. So you need your content book, your worksheet, notebook, and the stationery that is required. Arrange all these things. Come and join me. So now I am going to start it. In the previous lesson, we learned about the first phase of national movement. Now tell me, what was the period of this phase? The first phase of national movement was from 1885 to 1922. What was the most important national movement during this phase? At the Calcutta session in 1920, the National Congress demanded Swaraj, and Gandhiji gave the call for the non-cooperation movement. So this was the most important movement. Now today we will learn about the second phase of national movement. That is from the span of 1922 to 1947. Now, first of all, you will read the section so that you can answer the questions which I am going to ask you. You can pause the video here and then read the section and come back to me. Now, I hope you have done it. Now, tell me, which incident led to the suspension of non-cooperation movement? The Chauri Chaura incident, where the British fired on a crowd of peaceful protesters, led Gandhiji to suspend the movement. What did Gandhiji do after it? He focused on social work to help the rural people, who believed that leaders should be actively involved in the politics. Motilal Nehru wanted to continue to fight for political freedom by serving in British Council and opposing their actions. Why and how did they achieve it? By serving in British Council and opposing their action in 1927, the Simon Commission proposed changes to Indian Constitution. Huge protests against the commission were ruthlessly crushed. Major event in 1927. Lala Lajpat Rai died due to injuries in one such protest. What was the slogan to show resistance against it? The popular slogan was Simon Go Back. What was the meaning of Purna Swaraj? Purna Swaraj was a declaration of complete independence made by the INC. How is the second phase of national movement different from its first phase? The second phase of national movement saw greater participation of people in freedom struggle. What were the major events that followed the withdrawal of non-cooperation by Gandhiji? It was for the first time that Indians fought for Purna Swaraj or complete independence from the British rule. Major events that followed the withdrawal of non cooperation by Gandhiji. The major events was Purna Swaraj, for that Indians fought for. How did British react to increasing national activity after the non-cooperation movement? After the non-cooperation movement, the Simon Commission was sent to India to propose constitutional changes, but it did not have any Indian representative to challenge the suggested constitutional reforms. How did these events led to Congress to pitch for Purna Swaraj? When no Indian representative was there, so this led to widespread agitation and boycott of the commission. Which nationalist or nationalist groups believed in armed revolution? The Hindustan Republican Association believed in armed revolution, hence, its members like Bhagat Singh and B.K. Dutt adopted violent means. Which world event influenced organizations and revolutionaries with a non Gandhian outlook? The Russian Revolution influenced organization and revolutionaries with a non Gandhian outlook. Here is your first lesson plan is completed. That was Purna Swaraj. Now we will move further to the next lesson plan, and that is the civil disobedience movement. As usual, I will start the block or the lesson plan with a question. My question is, how did Gandhiji lead peaceful protests? Gandhiji led protests against the government in a peaceful, non-violent way through actions such as worker strikes, boycott of goods, and protests against the British policies and actions. Today we will describe the significance of Dandi's march in India's struggle for independence. Here few words are written. You need to read it carefully, and in your notebook you will in your notebook you will write down the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why after reading the section civil disobedience for each item. Here are the items written: March to Dandi, women's participation in the movement, and roundtable conferences. You can pause the video here, do whatever is asked, then come back and join me. I hope you have done it. Now tell me, what was the event at Dandi? The event was Dandi March, started by Gandhiji and his followers. What did Gandhiji want the Indians to do? He wanted Indians to break the salt law by making salt from the seawater. Which movement started as a result of Dandi March? The civil disobedience movement started and eventually led to Gandhiji's arrest. What happened as a result? There were strikes, boycott of schools, offices, picketing of foreign goods, and non payment of taxes of the government as a part of resistance. What was the round table conference set up for? The first round table conference was called in London to discuss the recommendation of the Simon Commission. Why do you think the march to Dandi was critical in helping the independence movement. The March to Dandi was critical because it showed that a large group was willing to protest against the British rule, and this was not expected. How were the British beginning to react to independence movement? To please the Indians, British signed the Gandhi-Irvine Pact in 1931 to release political prisoners in the return for suspension of the civil disobedience movement. How did British react to civil disobedience movement? British asked Gandhiji to sign in the Irvine Pact so that in the return they will release the political prisoners. What were the round table conferences that followed? Gandhiji was invited to attend the second round table congress. Second round table conference. What was the outcome? The conversation failed as Gandhiji refused to accept the demands put forth by government. Gandhiji resumed the civil disobedience movement. How was the participation of women in the national struggle particularly significant? Women's participation strengthened the national struggle immensely. Women came out of their homes for the first time. Their actions were important to turn the movement into a mass movement. Both men and women had equal responsibility to make the national movement successful. I hope you understood it. After reading both of the lesson plan, you will complete S1 and 2 in workbook, and in notebook you will complete practice question 1 to 6 and related additional questions. I hope you understood it. Thank you and have a nice day.